Hey guys, Captain Foley here. Welcome back. Um, Today we are going to be looking at something from the library, a Star Trek book, focusing exclusively on Star Trek Topps trading cards and some of the funny shit that's in them, because they're not exactly accurate. So if you guys are familiar with the Topps trading cards, I'm sure you guys are. A lot of people have collected them, even the baseball cards, things like that. So we're going to look at those tonight and get a feel for those. Just don't have anywhere to put my iPad right now. Let's put it over there. So let's see. 4 people watching, 2 likes. 50% of you haven't hit like. Hit like. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Hold on. I'm going to have to move something. Just 1 second. All right, that's better. Now we can do this. So let's see. We got Olivia Julius is here with a $2 super chat. I'm here. Stop worrying. I feel so much better now. Ian Entwistle. Good afternoon, Captain. Well, afternoon on the east coast of Australia. Good evening. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at the Topps Trading Cards book, Star Trek. I love how the jacket of this smells like bubblegum, first of all. On the inside, it's got a stick of bubblegum and then a broken bubblegum on the back. And this is made of the same waxy paper as the cards, so I think that's pretty interesting. We're going to throw that away. Well, not throw it away, but put it away for now. We got the book. We got a little Enterprise there. It is story time with the captain, sort of. Strike of Vulcan, permission to come aboard. Granted. We got Star Trek. So it goes into a little bit exploring the waxy frontier. Star Trek 10-cent picture cards, bubblegum. And this is a neat little book. It's done by Topps, so it's done by the trading card company. And there's a picture of the packaging. It says picture cards, bubblegum, extra sticker in every pack. Ooh. Who out there has these? Who out there has these Topps trading cards, these original ones? They came like that, as you can see. We've all collected gum or cards with the gum in them at some point, I'm sure. I've got a Ghost Rider complete set. I actually bought the whole box like this of all the cards as well. I got one sealed and one opened for Ghost Rider with the glow-in-the-dark backing with Ghost Rider. So there's what the packages look like. 1 stick of bubblegum with the cards. I don't think Topps did a TNG set, no. So the way the book is laid out, it's got the back of the card here, and then the front there. So the first card is the Enterprise, and it says on the back of the card, in a world of the not-so-distant future, Earth's science combines with human courage and hurls huge, majestic starships into space for purposes of exploration. The USS Enterprise, commanded first by Captain Christopher Pike and finally by James T. Kirk, was dispatched by the United Federation of Planets to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. So here it shows, this is the Enterprise from Mirror. You can see it's got the spikes on the Blizzards, and it says episode number 39, Mirror Mirror. Tops chose the white borders for the cards, which made the color images pop. While this bit of art design worked out nicely, former Tops writer and editor Gary Gennari, was less happy with another element that runs through the set. I envision the little Enterprise graphic as a number holding place, he says. In retrospect, the Starfleet insignia would have made more sense. The number wound up on the back of each card. So there you can see the number on the back of each card. Here's the little Enterprise that he was talking about, where he wanted the number for the card. That was just a holding place. But yeah, a delta with a number inside it would have made a hell of a lot more difference. Next card, we've got Captain James T. Kirk there. And here's the back of the card, which says, James Kirk is a man of great responsibilities. As captain of the Starship Enterprise, he must protect his 311 crew members. No, it's 430. Against the unpredictable dangers of deep space travel. He must also act as a diplomat and establish friendly relations with alien forms. Finally, he is a man of action, ready and able to defend the free universe against the aggression of the Klingons. Pretty good shot of him. I love that they used the alternate uniform for him there. So that's good. That's from The Enemy Within. And it says 311 crew members, question mark. Well, no, as Captain James T. Kirk, William Shatner often mentions on the show, the Enterprise carries a complement of 430. That's what happens when you have an editor and writer who's got sci-fi TV shows on the brain, admits Girani. 311 was the number of misbegotten souls trapped on Moonbase Alpha from Space 1999, which started its TV run right before we put our Star Trek cards into production. Becky Schultz says, hello. I don't have any cards, sadly. Well, that's no good. I need a drink. We shall continue with card number 3, Dr. Bones McCoy. And there's the good doctor right there. The back of the card says, Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy is senior medical officer aboard the USS Enterprise, perhaps the captain's closest friend. At least he runs a close second to the unearthly Mr. Spock. McCoy is called on whenever some strange new virus or infection strikes the ship, or when the bold men of the Enterprise encounter any unusual medical phenomena that needs diagnosing. I should point out, too, that at the bottom of the card it says, be sure to watch for the new Star Trek full-length motion picture. And this is 1976 Paramount Pictures Corporation. So, on the other side it says, well, the picture is from the Immunity Syndrome. And it says, breaking with tradition and the established billing order, Tops placed Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, DeForest Kelley, rather than Spock, Leonard Nimoy, after Kirk in the card set. McCoy did not appear in either of Star Trek's 2 series pilots, where 2 older actors, John Hoyt and Paul Fix, portrayed the ship's physician, Dr. Philip Boyce and Dr. Mark Piper, respectively. But after Star Trek received the green light, Gene Roddenberry felt the Doctor should be a peer and friend to Kirk, rather than a father figure. Next up is Mr. Spock. So we're going to read the back of the card here. And it says, Spock hails from the planet Vulcan, a strange world where feelings and emotions are considered bad taste, and logic is the rule. Whether his father Sarek is a Vulcan in good standing, his mother happens to be an Earth woman. This gives Mr. Spock a submerged human side, a part of himself that occasionally breaks to the surface under conditions of stress. Pretty accurate. On the other page, it does go on to say, be sure to watch for the new Star Trek full-length motion picture, recites collector James Sawyer. I don't know why I just said that on the last one. I can only imagine what it must have been like for Trekkies back then, reading that blurb on the cards' backs. It probably felt like you were getting insider information, like you were privy to some Hollywood secret, because you picked up the right pack of cards. What I should do, I'll move Jupiter over and put that there so that you guys can see what we're talking about today. Next up is Montgomery Scott. Engineer Scott. And what's it say about Mr. Engineer Scotty? Scotty knows every square inch of the Starship Enterprise. He's the ship's official engineer and big brother. Whenever she's ailing, and for whatever reason, you can be sure Scott will know how to handle things. On countless occasions, it was his split-second adjustments that saved the vessel from certain destruction at the hands of Klingons and other unfriendly alien forces. So the picture we have here of Mr. Scott, he is fiddling with the cloaking device, and that is from the Enterprise incident. And here it says, Commander Montgomery Scott, James Doohan, appears to have been a confirmed bachelor for most of his life, but he had a very close relationship with the Enterprise. Although a stalwart officer, he couldn't resist entering into a bar brawl with a Klingon over what he perceived as heinous insults to his beloved ship, and he suffered damage to his bairns, the engines, as if the injury was to his kith and kin. Hey guys, how's it going? Let's see, next up is Lieutenant Uhura. And for this one it says, a woman of considerably, wow. Try this again. A woman of considerable ability and beauty, Lieutenant Uhura, Swahili for freedom, is the communications officer aboard the USS Enterprise. It is her important task to contact whatever alien life form the ship encounters and set up hailing frequencies so that Captain Kirk can communicate with his neighbors in space. So this picture is from Squire of Gothos on this side. It says, placing an African-American woman in a position of responsibility on the bridge of a mighty starship made for a bold social statement in 1966, which is exactly why Gene Roddenberry cast Nichelle Nichols in the role of Lieutenant Uhura. Her presence in Star Trek was crucial, yet casually understated, conveying the impression that integration was commonplace in the not-so-distant future. I love how they keep saying the not-so-distant future. Let me sit a little closer to the camera. Squadron Course, hi all. How's everybody today? Good. 22 people here, 17 likes. Let's hit that like button, guys, and get the likes up. And if you want to super chat, please feel free. I would really appreciate it. We'll read your comment or question on the air. And we're going to go through and look at all these Topps trading cards. I got this for Christmas a few years ago, and, you know, it's worth sharing. Next up, we've got Mr. Chekhov, Ensign Chekhov. And on the back of his card it says, the youngest officer on the bridge, Ensign Chekhov, is nevertheless a man of amazing courage and dedication. Though he takes his work and duties very seriously, Chekhov often flips a joke by Captain Kirk or Mr. Spock, usually in reference to his Russian origin. Like everyone else aboard Enterprise, his commanding officer finds Ensign Chekhov an amiable and good-natured crewman. So the picture over here of Mr. Chekhov is from Who Mourns for Adonis. And it says, Walter Koenig joined Star Trek's cast in Season 2 when Gene Roddenberry decided to add a character who might attract more teenage girls to the audience. Someone young with a Beatles-style haircut and somewhat irreverent sense of humor. The evolving character became Moscovite when Pravda the Soviet newspaper published an article asking why there were no Russian crewmen aboard the Starship Enterprise. Enter Ensign Pavel Chekhov. Next up is the Phaser, Tomorrow's Weapon. It says the Phaser, actually a modified laser beam, is the principal weapon used by Federation officers to ward off unfriendly aliens, bore holes into solid rock, or do anything necessary to aid or protect the user. The weapon has 3 settings: stun, kill, and dematerialize. Generally, the Enterprise officers set theirs to the stun position, which renders most adversaries completely helpless. So this picture that we have over here of Kirk and Spock with the phasers is from Wink of an Eye. And it says, in keeping with Gene Roddenberry's often stated view that mankind in the future would overcome its mere violent tendencies, Top's copy here emphasizes the non-destructive qualities of the phaser, particularly the use of the stun setting, which kept the corpses of adversaries to a bare minimum. Well, so would the dematerialize setting, I would think. So, Senor. Hey Cap, I watched Deep Space Nine past tense today, and Parallels was amazing. All right, so next up is the shuttlecraft. And it says on the back of the card, the shuttlecraft is a small space vessel, space vehicle contained within the Starship Enterprise. It is capable of traveling small distances and is generally used to land on planets, which a craft as large as Enterprise cannot do. The shuttlecraft can carry about 10 people and is strong enough to withstand enemy alien attacks, either in space or on whatever world it lands on. So the picture of the ship is actually from Galileo 7. And it says Star Trek producers had no budget for a full-size shuttlecraft, even though characters in several early episodes may have benefited from one. Just ask the crewman trapped on Alpha 177 in The Enemy Within. Fortunately, model maker AMT offered to build one for the production, thus allowing the company to sell smaller versions to fans, and for the producers to shoot episodes like the Galileo 7. Next up is, it just says opponents. On the back of the card, it says, Mr. Scott, the logical scientific mind, and Dr. McCoy, the emotional bleeding heart idealist, hardly ever see eye to eye on anything, whether it's the view of philosophy or the way to handle a crisis. But underneath the argumentative surface, there exists a deep, abiding friendship between the two, and they are Captain Kirk's right and left-hand men. So this picture is, of course, from Court Martial, where McCoy gets all pissed off that Spock's actually playing chess when Kirk is having his career on the line. But it says the clip from Court Martial showed off the interplay between McCoy and Spock, and also gave fans a close look at Star Trek's iconic three-dimensional chess set. The chessboard had 64 squares, the same as the traditional game, but was divided into sections and separated into different levels. The rules of play were never explained on the series, and to this day, they have never been officially established. Yes and no, not officially, I guess, established, but there are rules for playing 3D chess, and my brother and I have done it quite often. I have the 3D chess set in the other room. It's fun. It's fun. Next up, we have Energize, which is, of course, about the transporters. And on the back of this card, it says, everybody hit like, is what it says. It says, back in 1976, the back of the card said, everyone please hit like. So 26 of you here, 20 likes, and only like 2 super chats so far. So if you can hit like or super chat, please do so, as it will help out the channel and help us out as well. So 20 likes, 20 likes. Let's get one more like. Somebody hasn't hit like yet. But yeah, we're going on to the transporter now, so Energize. A marvelous process by which one can travel great distances in seconds without even moving. The transporter unscrambles the atoms of a human being and reassembles them somewhere else. Other things can be beamed down to a planet also, like food and supplies, as Enterprise is too large ever to land on a world. The transporter device is a vital function aboard Starship, or aboard the ship. And here, the picture they used for the card is from Mirror Mirror. And it says the Star Trek writers realized early on that the Enterprise was too big to land on a planet's surface. That was actually a good thing because landing the ship each week could have eaten up the show's visual effects. Budget in no time. Gene Roddenberry's brilliant solution to the problem, the transporter. So the next card is the alien Mr. Spock. I just realized there's a lot of cards. I think we'll get through them. I don't know. But on the back of the card it says, the only alien being on the Starship Enterprise, Mr. Spock, with his devilish ears and pointed eyebrows, is truly a sight to behold. His satanic look is countered by his gentle personality and soft-spoken manner. It's hard to believe this admirable fellow has a misplaced heart in his chest and green blood in his veins. So the picture they used for this card was from Metamorphosis, and underneath it says, rather than turning off viewers, as NBC executive initially had feared, Spock's alien appearance and cool, unperturbed nature proved to be quite a turn-on for female viewers. His popularity may have influenced his top's choice of imagery, at least for the stickers, where Spock eclipsed the captain at 7 stickers to Kirk's 3. I never got why women found Leonard Nimoy attractive. I mean, I think Kirk's a much, more dashing, attractive person than Leonard Nimoy, but, that's just me. Next card is Men of the Enterprise. Men of the Enterprise. And it says the cast of Star Trek: William Shatner as Captain Kirk, Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock, DeForest Kelley as Dr. McCoy, Nichelle Nichols as Lieutenant Uhura, James Doohan as Engineer Scott, and Walter Koenig, spelt wrong, as Ensign Chekhov. They spelled it Koenig, and it's actually Koenig, so it's Coenig. So they actually did spell it wrong there, which I'm sure they're going to point out here. Here is the picture from the card. It's from Mud's Woman, and it says, where's Sulu, George Takei? The answer is shrouded in mystery and speculation. Whatever the reason for Sulu's absence from the card set and this cast roster, we get the opportunity now to make amends. You'll find 2 brand new Sulu cards in the back of this book, in the same spirit of healing. Note that it's spelled Koenig, and neither Uhura nor Nichelle Nichols is a man. Ooh, there are the cards. They're right here. I haven't even... Ooh, there's bonus cards. That's cool. I'm going to put those back right there. We'll look at those at the end. That's dope. I didn't know that. Like I said, I got this for Christmas a few years ago and kind of like thumbed through it, but... All right. Next up, we have Story of Voyage 1. Story of Voyage 1. Okay, Starships. Good evening. Just got off my own model building stream. What are you up to on the stream tonight? Just to hang out. Kind of. I'm going over the Topps trading cards, the original Star Trek trading cards, and reading them and the descriptions. So this one is from the Menagerie, of course, and it says, or the Cage, I guess. In this 2-part episode, the Menagerie, one of your favorites. Did you know that the flashback sequence featuring Captain Christopher Pike was actually from the first Star Trek episode ever made? It was a story called The Cage, and actor Jeffrey Hunter was supposed to be the star of Star Trek. The TV executives, however, turned it down and asked for different actors. It was then that William Shatner landed the lead. So that, of course, is from The Cage and or The Menagerie. And in addition to a change of captain, Christopher Pike preceded James T. Kirk in the pilot. The NBC executives also asked Gene Roddenberry to eliminate 2 characters, the satanic-looking Mr. Spock and the first female officer, referred to only as number 1. Roddenberry got the network to agree to let him keep one. He chose Spock, promoting him to Kirk's second in command, and recast actress Majel Barrett, whom he later married, as Nurse Chapel. Next up is Live Long and Prosper. Actor Leonard Nimoy, the man between the ears as Mr. Spock on Star Trek, appeared on many TV shows prior to his famous role. Fans of old video game programs might remember him from episodes of Rawhide, The Virginian, Dr. Kildare, The Outer Limits, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., where he played opposite William Shatner, later Captain Kirk. Spock, of course, is Nimoy's favorite part. And that picture on the card is from Is There No Truth in Beauty? Spock is the role that Leonard Nimoy will forever be associated with, which concerned him for a time. I Am Not Spock, his 1975 autobiography, addressed his post-series identity crisis. However, he has come to embrace his connection to the character and his public perception. In his 1995 autobiography, it was titled I Am Spock. Today, Nimoy is known as a respected director and photographer, a poet, and a semi-retired actor. View from the bridge. To actor William Shatner, who plays James T. Kirk on Star Trek, science fiction can be an art form if it's done correctly. Before I started Star Trek, he remembers, I could have made big money doing guest shots in other programs or movies, but I believed in Trek's dynamic possibilities and potential for a series. We had the opportunity to do something truly worthwhile. Now, this picture is from this side of paradise, the shot of the bridge there. And it says, as explained in the commentary for card number 13, the character of Sulu was absent from the top Star Trek trading card set of 1976. But, oops, as evidenced by this card, sharp-eyed fans may have noticed that he did manage to sneak in. Here's Sulu, or at least the back of actor George Takei, seated at the usual helmsman position on the bridge. Yeah, there we go. All right, next, Towards the Unknown. It says, William Shatner's opening narration for Star Trek, Space, the Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out and contact new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before, to seek out and contact no. This picture, though, is from Balance of Terror. It says, although the crew of the Enterprise certainly did contact new life and new civilizations in every episode, the words "and contact" are not actually in the Star Trek preamble recited each week by Captain Kirk. The dynamic photo on the front of this card also appears on the set's display box. Dun, 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 dun. We got another super chat, which is awesome. Let's see what we got here. John Paul Saylor, $2. No question, but thanks for the Trek contact. Well, thank you very much. Don't need to be a question, just a super chat with a question or a comment or anything is greatly appreciated. And I have to read it on air, so if you want to do that, please do. We have 25 people watching with 21 likes. I'm sure we can get to 25 likes, guys. Come on, 25 of you are here. You didn't all hit like. So the next card is the Enterprise orbiting Earth. Dun, 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 dun. On the back of the card, it says, what will planet Earth be like in the years ahead? Gene Roddenberry, who created and produced Star Trek, envisioned a planet of peace, a world free from war and racial strife. Men of the future will be compassionate and intelligent and scientifically advanced enough to send great ships to the stars for purpose of exploration and colonization. Is this truly our destiny? It can be if we mature enough to make it happen. So the picture there is from Miri. So it's got like Earth down there. And it says, actually, it's Miri's world, a planet that is per Kirk, an exact duplicate of Earth. The image on this card was flopped in the printing process. You can tell because almost every shot of the Enterprise in Star Trek shows the ship traveling from left to right across the screen. Holes were drilled in the production model's port side to accommodate wiring for its tiny running lights. So that is a mirrored image for the card there. Canadian Starship says, by the way, your Nova class episode the other day pointed out windows I missed on my build. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to deal with them. The ones below the shuttle bay. We're sorry. We're sorry. Next up, the Purple Barrier. The Purple Barrier. Bum, 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 bum. And it says, on a journey to the edge of the galaxy, Kirk and his crew sight an unidentified object, which turns out to be a disaster recorder from a destroyed starship. Kirk is curious about the urgent request in the recorder for extrasensory perception data. The mystery deepens as Enterprise itself is nearly destroyed when it passes through a weird force field that strikes out at 2 crew members. That, of course, from Where No Man Has Gone Before, this picture. And it says, the visual effects shot first appeared in Where No Man Has Gone Before, the series' second pilot, and was reused in the second season episode by any other name. To Gary Garani, it brings back memories of disagreements behind the scenes at Tops. I remember getting annoyed at the art director for inflicting capricious airbrushing on this image, retouching the area below the barrier, he says. Yeah, it does look kind of different below the barrier there. All right, Outwitting a God. There's the older uniforms from the second pilot, Where No Man Has Gone Before, which is cool. On the back of the card, it says, Senior Helmsman Gary Mitchell absorbed almost the full force of the Purple Barrier discharge and is now mutating into a superior being. Kirk and Mr. Spock watch his accelerated reading powers from the bridge and soon decide that the only way to protect Enterprise from the all-powerful Mitchell is to maroon him on a deserted planet. But forcing this superhuman off Kirk's ship will not be easy. So Where No Man Has Gone Before was the second pilot NBC ordered for Star Trek, where the first, The Cage, didn't satisfy the network executives. This one did, more action-packed and less philosophical than its predecessor. The episode introduced James T. Kirk to the captain's chair. Captain Pike had been portrayed as somewhat of a loner, but the writers quickly discovered that pairing Kirk with Spock won audience approval. Planet Delta Vega. Kirk and Spock succeed in drugging Gary Mitchell and beam him down to the surface of Delta Vega, a deserted mining colony. There, the incredible mutant escapes from confinement, and it's up to the captain to destroy the monster that was once his friend. After a terrific battle, Kirk outmaneuvers this superhuman adversary and using high-powered phaser rifle, brings a mountain down upon him. So this picture, of course, is from Where No Man Has Gone Before. World-famous map painter Albert Whitlock rendered the beautiful illustration that represents Delta Vega's lithium cracking station. A modified version of the painting, this time representing the Tantalus Penal colony, would appear in the episode Dagger of the Mind later in the season. DX2069, the book looks cool. I love cool books that like that, explaining behind the scenes stuff. All right, so next up is Charlie's Law, of course, from Charlie X. Charlie is just like any other love-struck adolescent, except that he possesses a strange alien power that can wipe out entire starships. Raised to young adulthood on a seemingly deserted planet, Charlie was rescued and taken aboard the Enterprise, but his uncanny abilities soon proved a danger to everyone on the ship. Finally, a member of the weird race of aliens that raised him appeared and reclaimed the ill-fated Earth boy. It goes on to say, distantly ironic caption trick is to do a slight spin on the title you're covering, explains Gerali. Thus, a still from Charlie X becomes Charlie's Law, an alternate name with a similar meter that easily could have served as the episode title itself. Next up is The Mysterious Cube With Captain Kirk taking a routine physical in sickbay, Spock has assumed temporary control of the Enterprise. Suddenly, a strange, intensely radioactive cube appears in space. When the starship attempts to move out of the path, the cube closes in. Kirk, once again in the captain's chair, makes an important decision. He uses phaser power to obliterate the celestial block. And that, of course, is from the Corbinite maneuver. It says, My breathless text brings up. Yeah. My breathless text brings us right to the climax before the first commercial break, says Girani, with a chuckle. Celestial block was my fun way of describing the rotating alien cube that bedevils the Enterprise. I like this head-on view of the bridge screen. The cube was a memorable optical effect. I would agree with that. Looks better in remastered, though. All right, next up. Ooh, dwarfed by the enemy. That's a great, that they turn the card on the side like that. I like that. That, of course, is from the Corbinite maneuver. After Captain Kirk destroys the mysterious space cube that has been blocking the Enterprise, the object's owner, an alien named Balak, arrives in a scene in his own super space vehicle. It is so huge that Kirk's ship appears like a toy before it. Balak refuses to listen to Kirk, the captain's explanation of why the dangerous cube had to be blown up. He simply informs Kirk to prepare for death. It says, I chose to make the vertical shot in order to reinforce the melodrama of this exciting encounter, Girani notes. Unfortunately, the resolution held reasonably well. Or fortunately, the resolution held reasonably well, despite the extreme enlargement from the original 35mm frame. Balak's alter ego. It says, using a clever tactical device known as the Corbinite maneuver, which suggests that whatever force used against Enterprise automatically backfires on the attacker, Kirk saves his ship from destruction at the hands of the alien Balak. Finally, the Enterprise officers beam aboard their enemy ship and discover that the frightful monster presented to them as Balak is actually just a scarecrow. Balak is pint-sized, friendly, and eager for company. So it says, if the TOPS team had been given enough space for the behind-the-scenes text, they could have revealed that the Balak puppet was created by noted sculptor Hua Chang, who contributed many of Star Trek's most iconic creatures. Among Hua Chang's other creations, the memorable title vehicle of George Pal's The Time Machine and the eternally popular Pillsbury Doughboy. Last of its kind. The salt monster. When Kirk and his party beam down for a routine checkup of two archaeologists, they little realize that one, Nancy Carter, is actually a sophisticated, salt-devouring alien creature that, like a chameleon, can change its appearance. For years, it had been posing as Professor Crater's wife. Now, loose aboard the Enterprise, the ever-changing monster meets its end. The last indigenous inhabitant of M113 meets its end. The fan nicknamed Salt Vampire was another of Hua Chang's creations. The Man Trap was the first episode of the Star Trek aired on NBC, although it was the 6th episode filmed for the series. NBC thought that the episode was the right blend of action and horror to grab the prospective audience. I hate that it's always first, though. I prefer Where No Man Has Gone Before than the Corbinite maneuver and then the Man Trap. So I just hate that they always air it first. I think it's stupid. But Frozen World. Spock and the crewmen and a crewman land on a frozen planet whose inhabitants died mysteriously, overcome by some kind of space madness. As Spock prepares to beam up to the Enterprise, the crewman, in a moment of carelessness, exposes his hand to the environment and becomes afflicted with a strange virus. It not only affects him, but threatens the entire crew as well. So that's, of course, from The Naked Time, the picture. And says, I've often wondered why these explorers in the opening shot of The Naked Time were allowed to stick their hands under the flimsy face masks that were supposedly designed to seal them off from the elements, says Girani. Those were there because of the COVID. Spock loses control. The mysterious virus contracted on the frozen planet acts like alcohol, disrupting the centers of judgment and self-control in crewmen. For the half-human, half-alien Mr. Spock, its effects are exceptionally disturbing. The Vulcan has always submerged his emotional human side. Now all his guilt and pent-up frustrations break to the surface as the overwhelmed science officer loses control. Imagine a character who operates only in the realm of logic and reason, untouched by the influence of feelings or emotions. Then imagine the opportunity to print an image of that character in the midst of a complete emotional meltdown. Wouldn't that make a great trading card? There were no publicity stills of this traumatic bit of business, recalls Girani, but we nailed it with 35mm film clip. All right, so next is The Naked Time. It says, many of her crewmen infected with the weird virus, Enterprise spirals downward towards the unstable planet and doom. Kirk, holding on to his sanity, decides to risk an implosion of engines to hurl his vessel clear of danger as Dr. McCoy searches for the virus's cure. After a terrific moment of truth, the crisis passes and the ship and its exhausted crew returns to normal. Exactly. They went back in time. It says, occasionally simple is best. Just use the name of the episode for your caption, Girani says. This image captures the third act urgency of The Naked Time. It also brings to mind one of Scotty's most memorable lines. I cannot change the laws of physics. His response to Kirk's demands that restart the Enterprise engines in less than 6 minutes. The Demon Within. The Demon Within. A transporter malfunction transforms Captain Kirk into two separate individuals, one meek and the other a raving, power-hungry madman. While the good half possesses intelligence and kindness, it is Kirk's evil side that retains his power of command. Now a major problem has arisen. The landing party will duplicate if they beam up, and if they don't, they'll freeze. Again, a shuttle would have been great. It says, I thought it would be cool to celebrate Hyde Kirk's first appearance with a vertical card, notes Girani, blowing up the section of the 35mm film frame to emphasize the certain details can be iffy. If there's not enough resolution, you'll end up with a grainy image. Here, however, altering the layout to emphasize Kirk's face was a good call. A tight close-up and dramatic underlighting provoke pure evil. Dun, 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 dun. What is going on here? I really like the remastered Corbinate maneuver from afar. The Sirius looks the same, but up close it's very techy and sci-fi. Yeah. Welcome, guys. 33 people here, 34 likes. That's awesome, guys. Now, if we could just get some more super chats, that would be great as well. But, yeah. My enemy, myself. This card says, the positive Captain Kirk must decide what to do about the landing party, and the negative captain wreaks havoc aboard the ship. Finally, both are brought together in the transporter room, and a great risk is taken. An animal that had duplicated was reunited, and it perished. Kirk's courage and intelligence, however, win out, and the captain finally emerges as one. Olivia Julius, $5. I'm enjoying bedtime stories with the captain. Is this a new series? Yeah, I'm thinking of doing similar things. Reading things. Yeah, I should have called it story time with the captain, but I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I was just going to show off the book, and I thought, I'll just read it. But anyway, it goes on for the behind-the-scenes part here. An optical composite shot enabled both Kirks to appear at the same time in this image, points out Girani. The handicapped, oh my God. Foley, read. The hand clasp between them was a neat trick. The Enemy Within was written by Richard Matheson, one of the era's preeminent science fiction fantasy writers. Among his lost list of screenplays were 14 episodes of The Twilight Zone, including Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which featured bravura central performance. Bravura Central Performance by William Shatner. Words are hard. Monster Android. I am Rock. Rock. Kirk and Nurse Chapel land on a planet run by the famous scientist Dr. Corby, who was once engaged to Chapel. No sooner had they and the small landing party set foot into the Doctor's cavernous home than two of Kirk's men are brutally murdered by a giant, monster-like android named Ruck. The mystery deepens when Kirk begins to suspect that Dr. Corby knows more than he's telling. So that's, of course, from What Little Girls Are Made Of. There is a Ruck. It says What Little Girls Are Made Of was contributed by horror writer Robert Bloch, who did Psycho. The script is dotted with tributes to Bloch's mentor H.P. Lovecraft. Ruck's creator, the Old Ones, were mentioned in several Lovecraft tales. Bloch's most obvious inspiration, however, is Frankenstein with a 7-foot monster, underground catacombs, and a laboratory where Kirk becomes the subject of horrific experimentation in the making of a man. This one's called Corby's Folly. Kirk's suspicion about Dr. Corby is well-founded. The Doctor, in a misguided attempt to improve the species, hopes to transform human beings into androids. These robots are stronger and more durable than flesh and blood beings, but as Kirk observes, they are also emotionally bankrupt. Corby nevertheless intends to go ahead with his plan, and the captain is his prime subject. Ted Cassidy's Rock isn't wearing a creature head like the Megado or slathered with prosthetics like the Telosian, but in Paramount's opinion, his appearance had been sufficiently altered from the actor's normal look to allow Topps to use his likeness. See the caption on page 115, which we'll get to. In addition to the role of Rock, Cassidy also voiced the characters of Balak's effigy in the Corbinite Maneuver and the Gorn in Arena. I didn't know that. That's awesome. So, the Duplicate Man. That's a naked Kirk right there. That's two naked Kirks. Set on a huge circular table, Captain Kirk is sent spinning as a duplicate of himself takes on details beside him. Physically, they are identical. When Corby attempts a duplication of minds, Kirk shouts out insults of Mr. Spock, which the duplicate later echoes. Realizing the real captain would never speak to him that way, Spock decides to investigate, and Corby is foiled. While Girani was working on Star Trek trading cards, he was also writing the book called Fantastic Television, published in 1977. The book includes synopsis of every single science fiction, horror, or fantasy television series that aired between 1950s and 1977. Inevitably, there was little bleed-through between projects. The Duplicate Man, he acknowledges, is the first of a few juicy captions lifted from the Outer Limits. Balance of Terror. Balance of Terror. Kirk and the captain of an enemy Romulan vessel engage in a fascinating battle of wills after the Romulans, using a cloaking device, destroy a Federation outpost. Though they are at opposite sides of the struggle, both captains are really very much alike. The Romulan ship finally succumbs, and its commander admits that in another reality, Kirk could have been his friend. Topps printed a set of sheets that contained 132 cards for the Star Trek set. One sheet contained the complete set of 80 cards plus 44 repeats. You couldn't print 2 of every card on a sheet, explains Len Brown, then Topps creative director. That meant that some cards were rarer than others. You'd have to buy 2 or more boxes to even have a chance of getting a full set. And that is a shit-ass move. Attacked by Spores. Dun, 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 dun. The Stat of Paradise. Enterprise officers beam down to planet Omicron Ceti 3 to check a colony of Earth people there and find the settlers living an idyllic existence, free from illness and relieved of work. Before Kirk can figure out what's going on, members of his party are attacked by mysterious spores. They become like the colonists, hooked on paradise. Top's art department occasionally retouched portions of images in order to emphasize certain elements, but Gerani felt that the practice was often arbitrary and didn't always improve the photo. I hated it when they did what they did to that flower to bring it out, he moans. It looks like something out of a cartoon with a tiny Enterprise graphic crowding it doesn't help matters. Yeah, the flower does kind of look like a cartoon flower there, so. Roger Course puts in $3 super chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. Well, thank you for hanging out with me, guys. Appreciate it. My back's really sore today, though. Spent most of the day working on the Camaro, put new calipers on. Well, watched my friend Paul put new calipers on. I didn't do anything except bankroll it and get the parts. So, anyway, the Camaro's running great again, or stopping great because it's the brake calipers. Anyway, the next one is Spock Unwinds. That's a derpy face. A derpa. Mr. Spock, another victim of the mysterious spores that hook visitors on Tranquility, is at last able to experience happiness. Kirk, however, is not very happy. His entire crew commits mutiny, and it's up to the captain to break this deadly spell of apathy by inciting everyone to anger-filled confrontations, thus exercising the spore's effects. Fans who have memorized every frame of this side of paradise will note something amiss about this photo. In the scene, Spock, intoxicated by the spores of a plant on Omicron Ceti 3, is hanging from a tree branch, his head parallel to the ground below. The image should have been presented horizontally, Girani explains, but for unknown reasons, the Top's art department rotated the photo, resulting in this vertical image. So that's when he was upside down, and he looks derpy. Let's put him upside down, and it looks a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So, next is the duel at Gothos. That's a great picture of Kirk with the old flintlock. I like that. That's good. So this card says, exploring a supposedly empty region of the galaxy, the Enterprise tangles with the single inhabitant of a strange starless planet. His name is Trelane. He dresses in 18th century garb, and he challenges Kirk and his people to several highly dangerous duels. This seemingly omnipotent being is finally revealed as the spoiled offspring of an alien race far more advanced than Earthlings. In the 1950s, Topps began including trading cards as prizes in its chewing gum packages. For collectors, however, cards like this handsome shot of Kirk with the dueling pistol became the focus, and the gum quickly took a secondary position. Gum, broken gum. Here's the dust jacket for the book we're looking at, just in case you guys didn't know that. 30 people here, 38 likes. That is awesome. Again, guys, thank you very much for joining me and having a good time. Hopefully you guys are having a good time. We're coming up on an hour, and we're like halfway through. So just do another hour and finish the book out. But yeah, let's get on with it. Time Ship of Lazarus. After a weird winking out phenomenon where the universes seem to disappear for a moment, the Enterprise picks up a strange being called Lazarus, who claims to be hunting a demon creature. This adversary proves to be another Lazarus. Both are from parallel universes, one being negative, the other positive. If they should meet, the cosmos will be annihilated. Kirk finally destroys Lazarus's time ship, thus preserving the galaxy. Dreamer out there puts in a $2 super chat and says, hope you're well, Captain. I am indeed. Thank you very much. So it goes on to say, the capricious Topps art department strikes again. Why exactly is Spock's shirt an artificial looking green in this image? Wonders Girani after all these years. Go figure. I mean, his shirt, I don't think it looks green, but it is what it is. Next up is Dagger of the Mind. Inspecting a psychiatric ward on Tantalus 5 Penal colony, Captain Kirk discovers that its art director, Dr. Tristan Adams, has been using a brainwashing machine on patients. Kirk himself is lured into a terrible device when it comes too close to the truth. When he comes too close to the truth. Luckily, an escaped patient has found his way onto the Enterprise, alerting Spock of Kirk's imminent destruction. Because of rights issues, Topps was unable to use undisguised guest actors in the set. See the caption on page 115, which we keep getting hints at, which is coming up in like 11 pages. Preventing fans from getting a card that focused on the truly historic event that took place a few seconds later in this episode, Spock's first Vulcan mind meld. So they couldn't have the guests people appear, which kind of weird. The Lawgivers. Are you of the body? Strange shrouded figures stalk all visitors on a planet where human beings must either be absorbed into a central body or annihilated. Kirk and his men must uncover the secret of the ghost-like dictator Landru, who commands all life forms on the planet. Finally, by working with a timid underground, they confront and destroy Landru, a computer. Actually, Kirk didn't destroy the computer so much as talk it to death. It was a neat trick, and the writers happily went back to it 3 more times over the course of the series. In each of those subsequent episodes, The Changeling, I, Mud, and The Ultimate Computer, Kirk outsmarted a malfunctioning machine with his glib tongue and quick mind. Nicholas Davies says, new Admiral here, just saying hi. Well, welcome, Admiral. Hello to you as well. Thank you for showing up. Hunting the Tunnel Monster. One of my favorite episodes, Devil in the Dark. Great episode. Kirk and his men are summoned to a mining planet to help destroy the mysterious monster that has been killing human beings by the dozens. Investigating the dark, eerie tunnels spread throughout the underground colony, the Enterprise officers set their phasers to kill. Spock, however, suspects there may be more to the mystery than meets the eye. I need Optimus Prime. I feel like I need Optimus Prime. On the other page, it says, a nifty's pulp-style caption matching the equally cool image from within one of the Horda's recently dug tunnels. Girani reminisces. I used it because I didn't have the nerve to print that wild and crazy establishing matte painting that starts off the episode. But Girani would give Star Trek card collectors a glimpse of the painting in card number 78 on pages 170 and 171. Battling the Horda. A sudden blast of light alerts Kirk and Spock that the murderous tunnel monster is nearby. Suddenly it appears, built low to the ground and moving remarkably fast for a creature of such tremendous bulk. The thing is mortally wounded by repeated phaser attacks. Spock decides that the only way to understand the monster's motives is to communicate with it. It says, this dramatic moment in The Devil in the Dark introduces one of television's most prolific actors that was never seen. That's him in the lower left corner, Janos Prohaska, a Hungarian-born effects makeup costume designer, best known for his appearances as Earth-based apes and bears for shows like Star Trek. However, Prohaska got to branch out, becoming alien creatures of the weirdest sort. The Horda was one of his favorites. Strange communication. Using the Vulcan mind meld, Spock communicates with the strange rock monster and discovers that it's silicon-based life form which calls itself the Horda. It can move through solid rock as easily as human beings move through the air. But there is more to this mystery of why this basically peace-loving being suddenly took to murdering the miners and its subterranean world. The non-embargoed mind meld sequence. This image is strange indeed, but pretty cool looking, as Mr. Spock goes the distance and tries to make contact with the mining planet's resident devil. Jirani laughs. Although my text reveals that the Horda indeed is a benevolent entity, I saved the biggest reveal for the following card. So there's the mind meld with the Horda. A startling discovery. As Spock continues his strange communication with the Horda, Captain Kirk wanders into what appears to be the creature's egg chamber. The mystery is now solved. The Horda began murdering human beings because they were destroying its eggs. Once the miners understand that these metallic globes are indeed life-containing shells, they are able to work with the tunnel's creatures in complete harmony. To paraphrase Woody Allen in Annie Hall, which was released a year after this card came out, relationships are totally crazy and irrational, but we keep going through them because we need the eggs. And that's especially true for the Horda, Jirali says. The text I wrote covers the joy of appreciating differences rather than being horrified by them, which is a perfect example of the United Federation of Planets doing what it does best. McCoy insane. Or zombie McCoy. Brains. Accidentally injecting himself with a powerful drug, McCoy goes mad and beams down to an unknown planet, which seems to be giving off waves of time displacement. Kirk, Spock, and a small landing party follow and encounter an eerie landscape composed of ancient ruins. They are understandably startled. Then one of these structures starts a conversation with them. Since long before your sun burned hot, I have awaited a question. What a great card, enthuses collector James Sawyer. Imagine taking that to a convention in the 1970s and having DeForest Kelley sign it for you. In hindsight, the whole set seems to have been tailor-made for convention goers seeking autographs. Very portable with a wide variety of casts featured. Yeah. Katie Carr throws in $2. Thank you very much, Katie. Nice to see you. Hi, Captain. Happy belated birthday. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. DX2069, I really hope humanity will resemble the United Federation of Planets one day. Hopefully. The Guardian of Forever. The strange glowing ruin calls itself the Guardian of Forever, a living portal to Earth's past. Before Captain Kirk's awestruck eyes, eons roll by... Oh, yeah, try that again. Before Captain Kirk's awestruck eyes, eons roll by through the Guardian's door. They didn't put a comma in there, so it was very difficult to read. Just as the deranged Dr. McCoy plunges into it, lost somewhere in time, he must be rescued and returned to the present, or history will be changed. Top set often promoted inexpensive merchandise on the back fold-away of their waxy wrapper, and the Star Trek set was no exception. Each offer, be it for Gilbert pocket erector set, an electroplated name tag, or a genuine supersized bazooka, a good time sweatshirt, was available for a small, affordable fee, $275 plus 15 bazooka comics. Yeah, because this is this is the dust cover for it, and it's the same waxy material that they use. And on the back, they've got the erector playset ad as part of the back of the dust cover. It's kind of neat. All right, so visit to a hostile city. He got his head cut in a mechanical rice picker. Kirk and Spock follow Dr. McCoy into New York in the 1930s, where the captain falls in love with social worker Edith Keeler. He then learns he must prevent McCoy from saving her life to preserve history. Kirk, heartbroken, stands by helplessly as Edith is killed in an auto accident. And when returned to the present, he responds coldly to the Guardian's offer of other journeys in time. Topps had a talent for making even the most innocent scenes exciting with clever captioning, notes Sawyer. Take this shot from the city on the edge of forever. Well, Topps upped the emotional ante by taking our intrepid heroes on a visit to a hostile city. Durrani cites that his inspirations, Gorvidel's play Visit to a Small Planet and the Lost in Space episode Visit to a Hostile Planet. Mystery at Starbase 6. That's a great matte painting too. I like that one. Responding to an urgent message for support to report to Starbase 6, Captain Kirk is baffled when Mr. Spock, who forged the message, steals the Enterprise and sets a course for the Forbidden Planet after kidnapping his original captain. The now disabled Christopher Pike, following in shuttlecraft, Kirk and Commodore Mendez close in. Oh my God. Sorry. Following in a shuttlecraft, Kirk and Commodore Mendez close in on the Enterprise and prepare to arrest the Vulcan. I used the expression Forbidden Planet in my synopsis, just as the TV guide did in describing this episode, says Durrani. It's slightly iconic because the 1956 MGM movie Forbidden Planet, which tracked the interplanetary adventures of a military spaceship, clearly influenced producer Gene Roddenberry when he created Star Trek. Yes. Fate of Captain Pike. Bum, 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 bum. Strange New Worlds. Another zombie. Brains. Kirk and Mendez begin court-martial proceedings against Mr. Spock. Also present is Captain Christopher Pike, first skipper of the USS Enterprise, whom Spock served under. Robert April was the first captain of the Enterprise. Thank you very much. For his defense, the Vulcan presents images from the planet the Enterprise is heading towards, Talos 5, that mysterious forbidden world visited only once by an Earthman, Christopher Pike. At the time the Topps manufactured this card set, Paramount had not fully researched the guest actor sign-offs for Star Trek. They asked the card manufacturer not to use images of guest stars unless their appearance had been altered by alien makeup. It was a relative determination. Exactly how much makeup that took was a gray area. Sean Kenny as a disfigured Pike clearly fit the bill. So this is that page 115. They've been talking about why they haven't showed guest stars. Next up is the Talosians. The Talosians. The bum-headed people. The Talosians are a race of advanced aliens who capture creatures from all over the galaxy and probe their minds. Captain Pike has been one of their zoo specimens, but he resisted their painful probing and tried to outwit the unearthly antagonists by using an Earth female they had given him, Vina, to thwart their experiment. The producer's decision to make the Talosians diminutive, asexual creatures led them to cast petite women for the roles, and then bury them beneath heavy prosthetic makeup. The transformations were so effective that the actresses were virtually unrecognizable, meaning Topps was able to use their images in the 1976 card set. This card set's 2 years younger than I am. So, Ordeal on Rigel 7. That's another great matte painting for sure. The Talosians have the power to place terrifying images into the minds of their specimens. When Captain Pike resisted their experiments, they forced him to relive a frightening ordeal on planet Rigel 7, where he battled a powerful warrior creature. Although the illusion was painful, it helped Pike figure out a chink in the Talosians' seemingly invincible mental armor. The beautiful matte painting depicting the surface of Rigel 7, complete with the Kalor Fortress, was once again the work of Albert Whitlock. The painting would be reused unaltered in the third season episode Requiem for Methuselah. Capturing the Keeper. Primitive emotions like hate are too strong for the Talosians to manipulate. The aliens, however, are grateful to Captain Pike for proving so substantial. Now they have invited him back to their world where they can live a fantasy life, he can live a fantasy life unfettered by his disfigured and crippled body. The charges against Mr. Spock, who masterminded Kirk's journey to Talos 5, were dropped. When Pike attacks the Keeper, it briefly morphs into a fierce ape-like alien life form. The alien's mask and taloned hands were designed by Project Unlimited the firm for which sculptor Hua Chang worked. The alien mask originally was created for an episode of The Outer Limits. There's a lot of cool little facts in this book. Blasted by the enemy. The Earth base has been destroyed by some unknown enemy. Before Kirk and his landing party can beam back to the Enterprise, the attacking aliens fire deadly charges in their direction. Finally, the captain and his men return to their vessel and begin tracking the enemy ship. But the chase is interrupted by an advanced being called a Metron, who has his own ideas about how to settle their disputes. I used to know a guy named Chris Metron. I was made fun of him for it. The voice of the Metron, who tells Captain Kirk in no uncertain terms that we are in control, is provided by veteran character actor and local artist Vic Perrin. Perrin also provided the control voice on The Outer Limits. Trapped by the lizard creature. Listen, human. You will not escape. The Metron forces a battle between Captain Kirk and the commander of the enemy spaceship, the loser forfeiting the lives of everyone aboard his vessel. Kirk's adversary, a creature called a Gorn, it is a large man-sized reptilian, yet cunning and incredibly strong. Kirk becomes trapped in a net set for him by the monster, as the Enterprise crew watches in horror. Likely the most popular alien creature costume that Hua Chang created for Star Trek was the big scaly lizard known as the Gorn. Depending on which sequence you're watching, the man inside the green Gorn suit was either Bobby Clark or his fellow stuntman Gary Combs. The Gorn captain's deep voice was provided by actor Ted Cassidy. The Gorn strikes. Dun dun dun. Captain Kirk is nearly killed when he becomes entangled in a trap set for him by the alien nemesis, the Gorn. By sheer luck, Kirk escapes, and he begins a plan of attack that will hopefully end the terrible battle. Diamonds, probably the hardest element in the universe, doubt it, dot the planet's primitive landscape. Kirk decides to use them as weapons. The Gorn was the closest Star Trek came to the creature from the Black Lagoon-type monster, Girani said. At one point, he even stalks directly into close-up, repeating the memorable bit of business from director Jack Arnold's classic 1954 movie. Earthman's Triumph. Earthman's Triumph. Getting a dry voice, dry throat, dry voice. That's the good stuff. So anyway, yes, Earthman's Triumph. By constructing a primitive cannon and using diamond crystals as bullets, Captain Kirk manages to subdue his alien opponent. But instead of murdering the Gorn, he spares its life and tells the Metron to get its sadistic pleasure in some other way. The Metron is proud of Kirk's compassion, tells him that the human race is a promising species, and then returns him to his vessel. Wow, I seem to have gone back to Flash Gordon for caption inspirations on this card, Girani relates, laughing. After going through hell, Kirk is rewarded for his humanity by the improving Metron, a nice example of Mr. Roddenberry's optimist factor at work. Almost done the book, guys. Specimens Unknown, otherwise known as fried eggs. The specimen is a strange organism that multiplies with astounding rapidity and strikes out at human victims, driving them mad with pain. The horror occurs at planet Deneva, where Kirk's brother is one of several casualties. Soon Spock is attacked by a deadly parasite, and the Vulcan must summon tremendous willpower to drive the creature from his system. I did it again, Girani admits. The caption, Specimen Unknown, is a steal from a famous Outer Limits episode title, but it fits perfectly as Spock and Bones inspect the pizza-like parasite from Season 1's final installment. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the sexiest Vulcan of all? Kirk, Scotty, McCoy, and Uhura are swept into a weird parallel universe where their duplicates, now in our universe, are despotic savages. Mr. Spock has a little difficulty seeing through their Captain Kirk. Has little difficulty seeing through their Captain Kirk, who is promptly placed in the brig. The Vulcan then works against time to return the opposite landing parties to their respective universes. Is there anything cooler than Mr. Spock and his devilish goatee? The look of the Mirror Universe Spock is ripe pickings for television parody, as a character's evil counterpart can be easily conveyed by slapping a beard on him. The influence of that goatee can be found in shows like Futurama, The Colbert Report, Community, Mystery Science Theater 2000, and South Park. Spock's wedding. Dun, 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 dun. Here comes the bride, big, fat, and wide. See how she waddles down the aisle. That's not politically correct, and I'm going to get in trouble. When Mr. Spock starts acting strangely, Kirk begins to suspect that the Vulcan's time of mating has arrived. Every 10 years or so, Every 10 years or so, the men of Vulcan must return to their native world and choose a mate in an elaborate ceremony, or they die. Kirk disobeys Starfleet orders to get Mr. Spock there as quickly as possible. I did my best to select a clip that did not clearly show the guest actors' faces, recalls Girani. Fortunately, this angle presented here enabled me to caption the episode's essence without too much of a compromise. I'll show it again, just so you guys know. So you can't really see any of the guest actors' faces. Nicholas Davies says, glad I caught a live. Night, though. Good night. All right. Strangled by Mr. Spock. Autoerotic asphyxiation. Strangled by Mr. Spock. That's some kink going on there. Arriving on Vulcan for the ancient wedding ceremony, Spock is required by custom to fight another man. For Mr. Spock's adversary, his intended chooses Captain Kirk. It is a barbaric battle, and one that Spock seemingly wins. Grieving for the captain he thinks he has killed, the Vulcan later learns that McCoy slipped Kirk a drug that merely simulated his death. I didn't exactly win any awards for subtlety with this caption, chuckles Girani, but it does get to the crux of the matter. It does, as does the image itself. Grasp of the gods. Or every Eagle Mouse collector ever, am I right? Taking it out of the box? Grasp of the gods. Kirk and the landing party on Pollux IV. That would be, I don't know, Pollux some number. Are prisoners of a Greek god, Apollo, the last of the Olympians who all died of loneliness. A superhuman alien, Apollo is capable of various amazing feats, but is ultimately subdued by the sophisticated weaponry of the Enterprise. Recalls Girani, a very brief synopsis only hints at this episode's Chariots of the Gods-like concept, with the ancient god of Greek legend explained away as sophisticated space travelers interpreted as deities by that era's simple humans. The monster called Nomad. Non sequitur. Your facts are uncoordinated. A cylindrical machine originally intended as a space probe collided with another space device capable of self-maintenance and repair. The result? A destructive device named Nomad, out to exterminate all life deemed imperfect. It's up to Kirk to outwit the thing and make it self-destruct. Meantime, Nomad wreaks havoc aboard Enterprise, wiping minds clean and destroying crewmen. As you do. There are sufficient similarities between this episode and Star Trek the Motion Picture. In each, an exploratory probe is launched from Earth, only to be damaged in space and merge with some alien machinery. The event gives the hybrid probe something of a split personality. When the movie debuted in 1979, some fans would jokingly refer to it as "Where Nomad Has Gone Before." The Companion. Kirk, Spock, and Dr. McCoy watch in awe as stranded space pioneer Zefram Cochrane engages in strange love-like ritual with the Companion, a swirling alien life form that has kept Cochrane alive for 200 years. This strange relationship ends when Cochrane Companion tries to keep the Enterprise officers on the planet to keep Zefram company. Their refusal causes difficulties, and love in a new. Ooh, their refusal causes difficulties, and love in a newer form. There we go. Aside from James Kirk and Edith Keeler's doomed encounter in the city on the edge of forever, there's not a more romantic episode of Star Trek's original run than Metamorphosis. Although viewers initially are encouraged to think it's just another weird alien kidnaps crew story, they realize that it's a love story at the same point Kirk and company do when they hear the Companion's gentle female voice. Journey to Babel. Dun, dun, dun. When the Enterprise journeys to the planet Babel, she carries with her a full shipload of strange visitors. Among the 34 Federation delegates from other planets is Mr. Spock's father, Sarek, who hasn't spoken to his son for 18 years. Since Spock gave up the Vulcan science to join Starfleet, Spock's human mother, Amanda, is also along for the trip, which is tainted with suspicion and murder. No mention is made of Spock's half-sister, Michael Burnham. Why is her name Michael? I don't even know. It's on there, legit. From 76. Babel was Mark Leonard's second appearance on Star Trek, wearing pointy ears. He'd made such a good impression on the producers as the sympathetic Romulan commander in the episode Balance of Terror that they were happy to bring him back, this time as Spock's father. Ironically, Leonard was just 7 years older than his Vulcan son, Leonard Nimoy. Death Ship. Enterprise officers transport to the wreck of the starship filled with bodies of crewmen who seem to have gone mad before dying. Investigating, Kirk discovers that some of them are dematerializing before his very eyes. The captain orders his party back to the Enterprise, but before he can join them, back on the Enterprise, the starship disappears, along with Kirk. This caption has served as the title for many a spooky tale, says Girani, including a famous 1963 Twilight Zone episode written by Richard Matheson. Matheson, who wrote Star Trek episode The Enemy Within. Death Ship. The Tholian Web. After Kirk vanishes on his Phantom starship, the Enterprise is ordered to leave the galaxy by a race of beings called the Tholians. Spock stalls for more time so that they can retrieve the captain, but the Tholians respond by surrounding Enterprise with a gigantic web. At the very moment Kirk is rescued from his ship breaks free of its imprisonment by shooting to the other side of the cosmos. Okay. They enter a subspace layer, essentially. And it's worth pointing out that if you watch our episode on the transwarp, we did a fact files on transwarp. That's actually the technology that they used to incorporate into the transwarp drive, slipping into that subspace reality that the Enterprise did from the Tholian web. Just a little side thing, just so you know. Where does the USS Defiant go after it slips into the interdimensional rift in the Tholian web? According to the writers of Star Trek Enterprise, it travels to the Mirror Universe, where the ship is commandeered by the mirror counterpart of Captain Jonathan Archer. The original Star Trek episode was nominated for an Emmy Award for special photographic effects. The Architects of Pain. I fucking hate this episode. Empath. Not a good. It's a good episode. A lot of people really like it. It's got good writing and the good characters. But I hate the setting, the backdrop. I'm not a fan of Jem and the holograms. Sorry. Lal and Thane, two advanced alien experimenters, capture Kirk, Spock, and McCoy and subject them to various tortures. Their goal? To cause an emotional response in Jem, a lovely mute girl who can absorb pain from others. If she is willing to sacrifice herself to save McCoy, the experiment will be proved successful. Kirk reminds the aliens that while their motives are good, they themselves have lost their emotions. Durrani notes that his caption was inspired in equal parts by the Outer Limits episode The Architects of Fear and is a reference to the infamous House of Pain mentioned in Paramount Pictures' classic 1932 film Island of Lost Souls. The Mugatu. Zoolander. The Mugatu. It's so hot right now. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. On a planet run by primitive tribes, Kirk must restore the balance of power when the evil Klingons provide one tribe with sophisticated weapons. On his way to visit the defensiveless hill people, the captain is attacked by the monstrous Mugatu, a combination bear gorilla with a poisonous bite. It is Nona of the hill people who cures Kirk's infected wound, and he survives. Another famous costume creation by Janos Prokhasha, who designed and played the Horda in Devil in the Dark, the Mugatu brought him back to the territory with which he was familiar, performing as an ape. Even so, this ape wasn't exactly a garden variety gorilla. It was native to the planet Neural and had white fur, poisonous fangs, a rhino-like horn, a spiked spine, and a nasty temper. And a little dog. The Deadly Years. Another zombie. Brains. When Spock, Kirk, McCoy, and Scotty become victims of accelerated aging, they are soon too senile to run the ship. Commodore Stalker, sympathetic to their plight, must assume control and tries to rush the Enterprise through the Romulan neutral zone to reach a medical center. Unaffected by the aging disease, it is Chekhov who holds the answer to the officer's survival. Space Geezer might have made a good caption for this one, Durrani says cheerfully. Then again, he suspects it probably wouldn't have made it through the approval process. But he was more interested in mentioning the episode's guest star in the card's overview. Commander Stalker was played by Charles Drake, known to sci-fi movie fans as a no-nonsense sheriff in 1953's It Came from Outer Space. Almost done, guys. Ancient Rome Revisited. Bread and circuses. Captain Merrick, former commander of the starship Beagle, takes control of a planet that develops a modern dictatorship based on ancient Rome. When Captain Kirk refuses to join him, Merrick orders the Enterprise officers to enter televised gladiator fights. The corrupt society is finally overthrown by the followers of the Sun, which we later discover refers to the Son of God, completing the parallel to Roman Earth history. Hodgkin's law of parallel planetary development, cited in this episode, Bread and Circuses, was utilized many times in Star Trek. The theory professed that similar planets with similar environments tended to gravitate towards similar biological and sociological developments over time. This meant that the series could visit a quasi-ancient Rome, a quasi-Nazi Germany, and so forth. The Mintakan. That's what it says. The Melkosian. Oh my god, Mintakan. It's not Melkosian. Sorry, my bad. A highly advanced and sophisticated life form, the Melkoshian punishes Enterprise officers for invading its territory by plucking up a memory from the mind of one of the Earthlings and turns it into a dangerous reality. Kirk and his landing party suddenly find themselves in a Western setting facing Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday in a gun duel. I love how this one makes the cowboys the good guys and makes Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday the assholes. Where if you watch like Tombstone or Wyatt Earp, it's the exact opposite. The cowboys are the hooligan assholes. Anywho, this bizarre alien life form appears only briefly in Spectre of the Spectre of the Gun, but it makes a charming impression with all its colored lights and wispy stuff encircling him, Jurali says, explaining his image choice. The Vulcan mind meld. My mind to your mind. Your thoughts to my thoughts. The Enterprise landing party faces death in the shootout at the OK Corral, an illusion provided by the Melkoshians. They will indeed die if their minds cannot accept the affair as unreal. So Spock uses the Vulcan mind meld to hypnotize his human companions into accepting the truth without fear. The imaginary bullets pass through their bodies, and the illusion ends. Spectre of the Gun marked the second time that the Dr. McCoy was subjected to the Vulcan mind meld. The first one was inflicted upon him as the Mirror Spock in Mirror Mirror. It is also the second time that the actor had appeared in a version of the gunfight at the OK Corral. He played a key role in Paramount's 1957 cinematic opus of that name. Possessed by Zargon. Air filling my lungs. Three descendants of an ancient alien civilization are encased in luminous globes. They ask the Enterprise officers if they might inhabit their bodies long enough to construct three human-like androids for their alien minds to inhabit. Kirk, Spock, and a female officer agree to let their bodies become hosts. And that female officer is, the fuck is her name? It's Dr. Pulaski. Can't think of the actress's name now. Kate Mulgrew. Anyway, Mulgrew. Possessed by Zargon, well, not quite. The alien being that inhabited Kirk's body was named Sargon. But in 1976, without the internet, it wasn't easy to confirm alien spellings. Neither Sargon's planet nor his people were identified in the episode, although we know that his voice sounded a lot like Jimmy Doohan's and his body looked a lot like William Shatner. Creation of a humanoid. That's Billy Blackburn. It's Billy! It's a game you play when you watch TOS because Billy's bridge officers, security officers, aliens, androids. It's a game called There's Billy. Inhabited by alien beings, the bodies of Kirk, Spock, and female officer Anne Mulhall work to construct androids for the ancient minds to inhabit. The trouble starts when the creatures inside Spock's body refuses to give it up. The other Enterprise officers must find a way to force the alien out of Spock's form and destroy it without harming the Vulcan. With the help of a sympathetic alien leader, they succeed. This caption was inspired by a 1962 cult film, The Creation of the Humanoids, which was incidentally Andy Warhol's favorite sci-fi movie, Jurani shares. The android under construction was played by uncredited background performer Billy Blackburn, who appeared as various characters in 61 of the series' 79 episodes. His costumes range from a white rabbit and shore leave to a wax-covered marvel of alien engineering seen here. So Billy Blackburn should have been a regular member, should have been in the movies in 61 of the 70 episodes. Like, seriously? Captured by Romulans. One of my favorite episodes, the Enterprise incident. Kirk disguises himself as a Romulan to learn how the enemy's cloaking device works. The device is capable of rendering Romulan vessels invisible and therefore undetectable. Captain Kirk must take a tremendous risk to learn its secret, a risk that ultimately results in his capture. What do you do when you have a lot of Romulan extras and don't want to spend a lot on your budget on prosthetic ears, not to mention valuable production time applying those ears. Outfit them with helmets that cover their ears. The same helmets were used in 3 episodes: Balance of Terror, The Enterprise Incident, and Amok Time for the Vulcan extras. A War of Worlds. The Enterprise is surrounded by enemy Romulan vessels. Making matters worse, Captain Kirk, who has disguised himself as a Romulan to learn the secret of the cloaking device, has been captured and charged with espionage. After imprisoning him, the female Romulan commander tries to convince Mr. Spock to commit mutiny and join forces with her people. Needless to say, the loyal Vulcan refuses. Here we see the Enterprise surrounded by Romulans in Klingon ships. Why? The Romulan bird of prey seen in Balance of Terror was not available for filming, and the new Klingon D7 models created for a different episode were available. A quick line of dialogue from Spock: "Intelligence reports that Romulans are now using Klingon designs," covered the contextual rationale for the viewer. And if you watch our episode that we did on the Treaty of 2267, the Klingon Romulan alliance of 2267, it explains how the Klingons got cloaking devices and how the Romulans got Klingon designs for ships. So go watch it. Sprays brains. These are the brains that the zombies that we've seen before are coming for. They're multicolored and multi-flavored. One's strawberry, one's banana, and one's green apple. Brains. The providers are alien minds that abduct Kirk, Chekhov, and Uhura for amusement, enslaving the Enterprise officers with... That wasn't a laugh, that was a cough. Enslaving the Enterprise officers with painful collars of obedience. The brains, using humanoid bodies, attempt to train Kirk and his people to fight as gladiators. The aliens feed on strong wills, and the stronger the opposition from their slaves, the more intense their control becomes. Waste not, want not. The pulsing alien brains that Captain Kirk meets in the Gamesters of Triskelion were props originally created for Paramount's 1958 The Space Children. The background matte painting, reworked a bit, makes a second Star Trek appearance. It was previously appeared in Devil in the Dark, and the glass bubble covering the brains was originally part of the Lazarus' ship in the Alternative Factor. That's a lot of stuff I didn't know right there. The animal there, thank you. I Yarneg for the days of old. I know it's supposed to be yarn. God damn it. Talking too much. All right. Under the observation of a strange alien creature named Yarnig, Captain Kirk joins Abraham Lincoln in a struggle against Surak, Colonel Green, Genghis Khan, and Kalis, 4 of history's most diabolical killers. This strange confrontation takes place on a planet comprised of molten lava. It's certainly important to remember Jurani's notes with a chuckle that long before he took on vampires, Abraham Lincoln was battling evil outer space aliens with equal panache. Apparently, Star Trek was groundbreaking in more ways than we ever realized. The real name of the Excalibur, the rock-like ringmaster who pits good against evil, was Yarnik, not Yarnig. So it's supposed to be Yarnak with a K at the end and not a G. Death in a single cell. And yes, we're almost done, guys. There's only that much left. Hardly any. All life in an entire solar system has been annihilated. Who or what is responsible? A thing called the Destroyer, actually a gigantic single-celled amoeba-like organism that absorbs anything in its path. The Enterprise officers must find a way to reach its nucleus in order to obliterate the thing, and Mr. Spock ventures out in the shuttlecraft to oversee Kirk's plan. Jurani states that this is his favorite caption for the entire series. Who or what is responsible? Is an old line of description that's from countless monster movie synopsis. And this episode offers quite a monster, special effects wise, of course. The Uninvited. Rosetta's here. Oh, you've missed some funny shit. You need to go back and watch this live. But Rosetta, hello Rosetta. I hope you're feeling good. Hope your toe's better. Anyway, The Uninvited. A luminous, swirling alien life form that thrives on hatred, creates ill feelings among crewmen, and also inspires a tension-filled conflict between Klingons and Enterprise officers. After the ship has changed hands several times, the opposing forces finally realize that an outright intelligence is governing their actions. United, Kirk and the Klingon captain laugh the uninvited hate-mongering alien off the Enterprise. Girani's affinity for the fantastical genre again proves inspiration for The Uninvited, as the title of this classic 1944 haunted house film starring Ray Milland. It serves perfectly for the caption of the Star Trek episode about the energy creature that invades the Enterprise. The movie, says Girani, ends with Mirand laughing the evil spirit out of the house, the exact way that Kirk and Kang get out the energy creature. The Lights of Zetar. A strange, blinding cluster of light appears before the Enterprise. It is the alien life form comprised of various brains that were seeking bodies to inhabit, preferably human ones. Scotty, meanwhile, has fallen in love with a young woman whose fate is strangely linked to the weird celestial phenomenon taking place outside. The Lights of Zetar was produced late in the much maligned final season of Star Trek. While not beloved by viewers, the episode did succeed in two ways. Engineer Scott experiences a few moments of romance, and viewers learn about Memory Alpha, the massive library that houses a database containing all of the Federation's accumulated cultural, historical, and scientific data. Invaded by an alien energy. Da-da-da. Lieutenant Mira Romaine, Scotty's girlfriend, is possessed by space mines who have been searching for a place to live since their planet died years ago. In order to rid her body of the invading creature, Mira is placed in a high-pressure chamber, which forces out the strange cluster of intelligences. Though they have a right to survive, Kirk observes, they should not do so by stealing the lives of others. The synopsis here is succinct and accurate, although the unfortunate woman in the photo on the front side of the card is not Mira. She's a lone survivor, but not for long, on the attack of Memory Alpha by the last denizens of the long-dead planet of Zetar. The episode was written by ventriloquist Sherry Lewis and her husband, Jeremy Tarcher. Kirk's Deadliest Foe. Pretty good picture, actually. At an intergalactic insane asylum, Kirk is captured by a ruthless criminal named Garth. With a special explosive capable of mass destruction, Garth intends to take over the galaxy and become the greatest dictator in history. He also has another unique power. Garth can make himself look like anyone else, a power he uses to appear like Kirk. Captain Kirk battles yet another duplicate, in this case of shape-shifting Garth of Izar. Garth once was a brilliant starship captain whose exploits were required reading at Starfleet Academy. Now, alas, he's just plain nuts. Kirk had been duplicated a number of times in the series, says Girani with a sigh. The lackluster third season script seemed an indication that Star Trek was running out of strange new worlds to visit. The trouble with the troubles. Yeah. The trouble begins when the Enterprise tries to transport a rare wheat grain to another Federation planet, and the Klingons interfere. Compounding Kirk's problems are tribbles, pint-sized balls of fluff that multiply like crazy. Soon the Enterprise is swamped with tribbles, but the captain isn't angry, for when the creatures perish after devouring the rare wheat, Kirk realizes an evil spy has poisoned it. One of Star Trek's few all-out comedies, The Trouble with Tribbles is consistently voted the original series' most popular episode, which explains why the producers of Star Trek Deep Space Nine chose to revisit it for their franchise's hugely popular 13th anniversary episode. 30th anniversary episode. I didn't think 13th sounded right. That's my dyslexia kicking in, guys. I apologize. The Nazi planet. Yeah. A space sociologist unwittingly recreates one of the bloodiest moments in Earth's history when he uses fascism to help to develop a floundering planet. The experiment, however, gets out of hand, and Kirk must somehow correct the socialists' terrible mistake. Sociologists' terrible mistake, and set the world on a peaceful course. But stopping Nazi stormtroopers is no easy task. The crew of the Enterprise encounter Romulan centurions, cowboys, and Chicago-style mobsters. Why not Nazis? It was inevitable that World War II Europe would get a parallel workout, comments Girani. But while the episode ran in America without raising too many eyebrows, its broadcast in Germany was blocked for a number of years, thanks to post-World War II sanctions against depictions of Nazi symbols and uniforms. Yeah, they didn't get to see it till like 1980 something, or even, was it early 90s? That it was allowed to be aired there. The Starship Eater. With Kirk in the shuttlecraft, Commodore Decker takes control of the Enterprise and uses the ship to destroy the Doomsday Machine, a mammoth device sweeping through space and devouring everything, even entire starships and planets, in its deadly path. His own ship, destroyed by the mechanical monster, Decker is now consumed with vengeance, and it nearly destroys the Enterprise as well. The Doomsday Machine was writer Norman Spinrad's take on Moby Dick. The episode's Ahab, Commander Decker, nearly destroys the Enterprise in his quest to wreak revenge on the planet killer that devoured his crew. Ironically, it will be Decker's crippled ship that provides the means to end the Juggernaut's rampage. This image of the constellation being drawn into the machine's monstrous maw seems to sum things up perfectly, says Girani. Star Trek Lives. So here we go. We're almost at the end, guys. Star Trek Lives. Although the series had been off the network for several years, Star Trek lives as reruns. Fans of the show gather at conventions, exchange newsletters, even dress up as their favorite Trek characters at masquerade parties. Recently, Gene Roddenberry, the man who created and produced this classic science fiction series, delighted fans the world over when he announced that plans to make a full-length movie based on Star Trek. Girani's final back text echoes themes presented in Star Trek Lives, the 1975 book by Jacqueline Lichtenberg, Sandra Morshad, and Joan Winston. I wrote about Star Trek's revival and the unexpected success in syndication, he says, and I suggest the possibility of a brand new movie. It's the perfect coda to the set. Star Trek Lives is an expression that best sums up Star Trek's most unprecedented and glorious comeback. So then they go on to talk about the stickers. There was Kirk there. 2 Spocks, Mr. Spock Unearthly and Spock of Vulcan. So this is from The Cage, or Where No Man Has Gone Before. And then we got the regular Spock over there. We've got Dr. Bones McCoy and Scotty. So if you guys have any of these cards or these stickers, let me know. I don't have any of the original ones. We got Uhura and Chekhov. Sadly, no Sulu, but like I said, they included the bonus things in here. The Starship Enterprise sticker, that's a good one. I'd love to get that one. Kirk. Star Trek Lives. And Highly Illogical. The Keeper and Commander Balak. Yeah, I thought that was Balak at the front. We got this front one. It looks like one of the stickers has been taken out. The Mugatu and Lau the Interrogator. I didn't like the Empath. The Parallel Spock and Ambassador Gav. Tellarite, guys. Tellarite. Alien Possession, and Spock Lives. Spock did get a lot of stickers, damn. Evil Klingon Kang and Spock Forever. Dun, 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 dun. And the Romulan Vessel with a Klingon D7. Goddamn. Fold corner on dotted line. Slowly peel sticker from front of card. Yeah, see, they're just, that's the back of the stickers. I love how they reprint it for the book. There's the back of the card package or the gum package with the erector set. And here is the bonus cards that they included. So that's what the front of the package looks like. And they included some bonus cards, which we're going to take a look at right now, which I didn't even know were in here because I would have looked at them already. Got to get them open first. All right, so we have Historic Encounter on the Bridge. So these are new cards that they added to the set. Bonus cards. These limited edition bonus trading cards are produced exclusively for Abrams Comic Arts to accompany Star Trek Tops, the complete set of 88 collectible cards and 22 stickers from 1976 based on the classic television series from Gene Roddenberry. So there's that one, and they're all numbered. There's 4 of them. Next up is the Enterprise's Miracle Worker. So they're in the same style with the same kind of titles. Next up, Swashbuckling Sulu. And these were ones you could definitely see being in this set. And then facing the final frontier, we've got Sulu and Chekhov there. So that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know that these were a thing in this book, so that's very cool. So the original gum and card packs were 10 cents each. As you can see, 10 cents. So that's the like empty box. That's the back of the box of the cards there. So like that. So yeah, that was a pretty fun little look through this book, actually. Learned a lot of interesting facts. I love how this is like the wax paper, just like the gum packets were, with a little bit of a hint of bubblegum scent, which is cool. All right, but this is going to go back in its home now. Just right there. And I'm going to do more lives like this where I read something, not like a whole book, but like a section of it or some interesting facts out of it. I've got a lot of older books. There's some other ones down here. There's a bunch. So we're going to have a lot to look through. Let me go back up here. Read some of these comments. DX2069 says boobs. Did I miss boobs? I don't think so. The first time the Enterprise used a cloaking device. Yes, it's a laugh. Foley, says Rosetta. Sweet, Foley makes me smile. It's been a rough night. Oh, sorry to hear that. Shut up, Spock. We're trying to save you, damn it. Rosetta, I did my zoo hike and busted my foot. Got good but painful at the hotel. Found out one of my neighbors was killed by the rioters last night, less than a block from... What? Oh my god, that's awful. Enemy Within is one of my favorites, she says. Jacob says, I have an old 1970s Star Trek convention book with signatures in it. Would love to show you guys. That would be awesome to see. Rosetta says, I like nuts. I mean, we knew that. Probably the saltier the better. Ozzy says, did you guys that the leader of the Klingon officer is the real husband to I Dream? I didn't know that. Jacob McGillicuddy, tribbles are space turtles with fur. Cinnabon Bunny was here. Hello. Ozzy says early 90s. Not my ship, you don't. Thanks for doing these chats, especially during these times, says Becky. Not a problem. Want to get your mind off of things, guys. So, I look like a tomato. You don't want to see a native girl with a sunburn. Ozzy, Kang is the real husband of IG and Virginia in real life. No, it didn't come with gum. I wish the book would have come with gum. That would have been awesome. I love that gum, that stale gum. Rosetta says, I gotta go to bed. Someone tell Foley I said he's a doofus and a perv. I have feelings, you know. Just saying. It's okay. I am a doofus and a perv, so it's fine. Squadron Course, I don't have any of the TOS cards. Mine are mostly Star Wars. See, that's the other thing. I've got a complete set of the TNG cards, a complete set of the TOS cards, and I have some other card sets downstairs that I wouldn't mind like showing you and reading the back of those, because they're actually pretty interesting with the facts that they had, and I really liked those ones. That's a fantastic book. I'm glad we did this because it was kind of fun. Dreamer out there says, you made me realize, Cap. Made you realize what? Oh, they never really covered Uhura having her mind wiped. If she had been re-educated from scratch, she wouldn't be allowed to stay in Starfleet. She'd be sent home and not know her parents or family. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Harrison Wells says, great live, Cap. Well, thank you. It has been fun. Let's see, almost at 2-hour mark. So I was just going to do a hangout and a chat with you guys, but that kind of fell by the wayside, and it's 2:42 already, or 12:42 already. God damn. So that was fun. Anything on for tomorrow, says Ozzy? Yes, we're probably doing our live review of The High Ground, I think is tomorrow's episode. That'll be at the regular time of 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, yes. John Drashell just subbed. Love your channel. You guys are great. Thank you very much, John. Please consider also joining the channel. There's a join button down by the subscribe button. You can join at the rank of commander, captain, or admiral, and get some cool stuff. If you join the lives on a regular basis, you get cool emojis and stickers and stuff that you can put in the live chat. So consider that as well. But thank you for joining. Make sure you hit the notification bell icon to all as well. It's a good analytic that helps us out and is good for YouTube. Cade MacArthur, can you should answer my China question? Can you should answer my China question? I didn't see a China question. If China suddenly broke up into a bunch of smaller countries, how would you react? By going, I don't care. Doesn't bother me any. Ozzy, didn't forget a week from Sunday is the great commander's birthday. Yeah, his birthday's on the 7th of June, so okay, yeah, no, don't do that. What are you doing? So guys, I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. Sir Kavalka, did you ever play any of the Trek collectible card games? No. I probably have some of the cards though, but I never played any of the card games. I thought they were kind of, I don't like card games as a rule, so have a great night, sir. Get some sleep. Yeah, I'm probably not going to sleep for another couple hours, but gonna go watch something on Netflix or YouTube or Disney Plus. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks guys for watching. This has been really fun. We'll be doing more of this. It'll be like story time with the captain or captain's story time. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But that was kind of fun. So sorry my reading was a little bit off. Sometimes I get the dyslexia kicking in. I got mild dyslexia. So, I mean, there's that. But and also my cough. Sorry, I apologize for that. Anyway, guys, calling it quits. Have a good night, and thank you. Hope you enjoyed the Topps trading cards. thing, and we'll do more stuff like this in the future. So anyway, guys, talk to you later. Bye bye.